Hey guys, Paul here, and I'm going to do another 5 random book recommendations. The first time I did this, Steve Donahue was apparently amused by it and tried to codify some rules based around my rules. And I'm not sure how well that was working out at the time of this filming. I am kind of going to work from my own rules on this. And if you want to check out Steve Donahue's video where he renamed it Five Alive, you can go check that out. And if you want to participate, I'm not doing this as a tag because I know the people on my end of BookTube are way too cool for tags, just the way it is. But I'd like to see some of my friends participate, some of the other BookTube channels that are friends with me or subscribe to me or that know me participate in this because I'd like to see your particular suggestions, recommendations. So if you want to do that, that's great. The rules for me were simple. It was 5 books, randomly chosen, and one of them would always end with a graphic novel. Steve Donahue kind of wanted to make it and keep it alive, which was very cool. And you had to connect this to another video. You saw a book, either to talk about the same book or a book that's related to one of those books in some way or shape or form. And that's fine. I'd like to see that go forward if you want to do that too. And you have to, of course, enter the graphic novel if possible. And apparently you got bonus points for Iowa Hawkeyes gear. So I'll wear my Iowa Hawkeyes, hat one more time in there. Personally, I say my rules. You get bonus points for Pitt, Washington Huskies, or Iowa if you want to do college. So I'll give you extra bonus points. But yeah, so if you want, I'd love to have you participate. If you're, one of the people on this end of BookTube, I want to see your recommendations. You can use this as an excuse just to pick up 5 books and show them off. And I really want to see them, and I'm sure a lot of other people do too. Book recommendations are awesome. I could watch a channel that was nothing but book recommendations. So, if you got them, show them. Anyway, so let's do my 5 book recommendations. Random choices, but I did get two requests. One, people wanted fantasy, and one, I got a request for military fiction or military books, not fiction or nonfiction. And I was actually asked to do like whole videos on just that. For the moment, I'm going to kind of stick to random, and I'm going to throw those in. So let's start with a fantasy recommendation. So let's get to book 1, and that'll be The Black Stone Heart in the Obsidian Path trilogy. This is book 1 in that series by Michael R. Fletcher. Now, this is a lot of people call it a grimdark fantasy. I don't see it as grimdark. I see it as dark fantasy, and that's because the main character there seems to be a lot of light and a lot of hope coming from the character. I don't consider this grimdark, but this book, from the moment I picked it up, completely absorbed me. I love the entire series. I think I gave between the 3 books, I gave it 14.5 stars. So out of 5 each, possible 15. This is one of my top 10 fantasy books that I've read. And it's so underrated and so unknown. So you start right off with a character who's unburying himself. He wakes up buried like he had been killed and left for dead, with no memory of who he is or what the hell happened. And that may seem like a trope, but it's done really well. I was completely fascinated as I followed this character as he learned about who he was. And I've never seen it done this way. This was unique. This was very cool. It was dark. It was fun. It was exciting. I was completely 100% gripped from beginning to end. This rarely happens where I put aside everything else and just want to read and find out what happens. And I love the entire trilogy. Right from the beginning, the first book, because I love first books, when I get to know a new story, it was just that much more powerful. And it was just so much fun getting to know this character and what had happened to him. And I've never seen it done like this. I've never seen a lost memory trope done quite like this. It was unique. It was fun. It was cool. It was badass. And As I've said in previous videos, I don't do romance, I don't do heartfelt, I don't do mushy. And this book doesn't have that, but it does have the most quirky relationship love story that I have ever seen. It even beats Morticia and Gomez Adams for weird and quirky. That relationship, for somebody who does not like romantic relationships in the books, the romantic relationship in this series was one of the most fascinating relationships I have ever read, and I ate it up. I couldn't wait to keep hearing more. It was quirky, it was weird, it was fun, and if you want to read a different kind of fantasy, if you want to get away from the stuff that's on the shelf, the stuff that I was railing against, and support an independent author, everything I've seen from Michael R. Fletcher is fantastic. I have been buying literally every book that he writes, and I'm on a break from fantasy, but when I go back to more fantasy, he will be one of the people that's my staple that I will keep reading. He is an underrated author, and he should be a superstar in the fantasy realm, bar none. Seriously, check out Blackstone Heart. Fantastic book. Obsidian Path trilogy. Absolute great series. Dark, fun, crazy, just brought joy to me while I was reading it. All right, now I want to talk about a military book I was requested, and this is a good one. It is God Save Benedict Arnold. All of us grew up being taught about Benedict Arnold, but not really. You were told Benedict Arnold was a traitor, and that's all you ever knew. Think back to school. Think back when you were in your history classes. How much were you actually told about what happened? The story behind Benedict Arnold, the true story, the whole story, is absolutely fascinating. So this book does have an account of his military history and the battles he fought, done in an incredibly fun way, and it doesn't drag with details and overwhelm you with dry facts. It's very narrative. It's expressive. It tells a good story. What had happened with Benedict Arnold, how important he was to the beginning of the Revolutionary War for America, has never been talked about properly. Yes, we know he's a traitor, and what he did was, unforgivable, reprehensible, and yes, no matter what he did, you cannot forgive that. But the story leading up to, before he became a traitor, is absolutely fascinating. We might never have won that war if it wasn't for his efforts. If he was not going above and beyond to secure Lake Ontario and the bases there that were being taken over by the Brits before they moved into America, if he hadn't done what he had done the way he did it, the Revolutionary War may never have gotten started. We would have been over before it even begun, and we would still be a British territory. It is absolutely amazing the amount of stuff that is left out of history. And this story and his story is incredible. And he becomes kind of a sympathetic character as you learn about the fact that he was severely screwed over. He was doing his job. He was doing what he was supposed to. And names you now know from history who are revered were complete screw-ups that he had to fix, had to take care of, had to repair the damage they had done in some cases. And because he wasn't part of the good old boys network, he kept getting overlooked and kept getting crap from the established government in the U.S. And it contributed to why he did what he did. With all the facts, it becomes a story of a man who was screwed over and got fed up. And I can see that. There's no forgiving what he did in the end, no matter what happened, but the story leading up to it that tells you why and what he did for this country when he was loyal is completely compelling. It's completely, I think this should be taught. I think we should be being told what really happened. And I've noticed throughout my personal studies of history how much of what we taught in school was completely wrong, was completely misinterpreted, completely given to us without all the facts. And this goes a long way to rectifying the limitations and the misinformation that we were given about Benedict Arnold, and not so much that even, but the lack of information we were given. We were told he was a traitor and left it at that without a backstory. And this rectifies this. And if you're into nonfiction, if you're into American history, if you're into the American Revolution, if you're into military history, all those things, you will love this book. And if you're not, but the subject fascinates you, check it out anyway, because it is a damn good story. All right? So just throwing that up there. All right, so let's do short stories. This is Terry Bisson's Bears Discover Fire. This is a collection of short stories. We'll call it magical realism, a little sci-fi, a little contemporary fiction, but it is some fun stuff. There are a couple of stories in here that just really stuck with me. There's a story in here called They're Made of Meat. It's only like 4 pages long, and it's just, since I read this a couple years back, I kind of quoted and joked about that story over and over. In fact, I might do it. I might read it so you can get some, Paul so you can get some Paul ASMR, because you all deserve a little more Paul. It didn't go so well last time when I did my Poe video, and I read Alone by Poe. But might give it another try and see if it works and read Meat for you. Like I said, it's only 4 pages, so it won't take much of your time. And there's another one called Press Anna. It's a really short one where somebody gets into a argument with an ATM machine, and that kind of thing permeates this book of short stories that are it's just fun stuff. It is fun short stories, and it's one of the better short story books I've read. Like I said, there's kind of a magical realism bent to it, and a lot of that I don't normally like. There's some sci-fi and some other stuff mixed in, but this really, really works. So, Bears Discover Fire by Terry Beeson. Yeah, a lot of fun. Good short story collection. All right, next we're going to do Meddling Kids by Edward Quintero. Now, start with, I love this cover. It is ridiculous. It is fun. It is bright. And it stands out on the shelf. I mean, no matter what direction you put it in. And then you mix in what it's about. This is pop culture meets H.P. Lovecraft. And he takes the Scooby-Doo gang. And it changes their name, but I will refer to them by the characters they represent so that you understand who I'm referring to. And he puts them in the future. So apparently the gang had their last case at Sleepy Lake, and they unmasked the bad guy and then went on with their lives and quit ghost hunting, quit the detective business. And apparently there was a whole lot of unanswered questions that have followed them through their lives and caused them to kind of crash and burn as adults. They've never ever gotten over the fact that something is wrong with that last case. And like I said, they're not called this in the book. He changed the names to protect the innocent, but I will refer to them by the names of the characters you know. So you have Fred, who was a big shot actor, athlete, and was killed. But Shaggy, who is in a mental institution in Arco, Massachusetts, still talks to him, still hangs out with him, even though he's dead. Then you have Daphne, who is was a genius biologist, but now is drinking her life away in New York City with the descendant of the original Scooby, Tim, a Weimaraner that she lives with. And, of course, there's Velma. Velma may have gotten the worst of it. She's wanted in 2 states and has severe issues. But she decides it's time to take care of the problems that they never took care of in that last case, and gathers everybody up, breaks Shaggy out of this mental institution. It's what is a pretty fun scene, and heads back to their last case at Sleepy Lake to find out what the hell it is that they're missing. And this turns into this Lovecraftian mystery that is just a lot of fun. This book isn't perfect for me, but it is worth reading. It is so much fun. It is so over the top. It's crazy. And if you were a kid who grew up with Scooby-Doo, you'll recognize these characters and at the same time, worry about what he turned them into. But either way, it's fun and crazy and over the top, and definitely worth a read, if nothing else. Like I said, this cover is just fantastic, isn't it? I mean, the colors on it just pop. But yeah, there's the spooky mansion at Sleepy Lake that they go to, and the Lovecraftian horrors that awaken. And so if you're into humorous Lovecraftian pop culture, check this out. It actually did pretty well, so some of you may know this book already. And but if you don't, check it out. And finally, we're going to do the graphic novel. And I am going to do Brian K. Vaughan's, and I didn't say Michael K. Vaughan, so I got it right this time, The Pride of Baghdad. This is suggested for mature readers, but it is based on the concept of a true story of the bombing of Baghdad. And what had happened was when Baghdad was bombed, a zoo was taken apart and the animals escaped. And this follows the Pride of Lions. Now, this, like I said, there's actually, if you want to look it up, there's actually a story where they talk about what had happened with these lions. But this book kind of takes in a fictionalized account of that real event and follows this Pride of Lions as they try to survive in bombed out Baghdad. And it's amazing. It's awesome. It is just a great story. There is a little bit of adult material, very little, very, very little, but just want to make sure you know. The art in it's unique. I love part of it and don't love another part of it. So Nico Henrysson did the art, and the overall art is really good. But the thing that it's a me thing maybe, that takes away from it is he kind of puts this like almost filter over sections of it. So you'll have whole sections that are kind of shaded with a certain color, and it kind of predominates the page. I think he was trying to set a mood, and in that case, it kind of works. So, but it's a little bit offsetting sometimes. So like I said, depending on what which animals you're following, there's kind of this shading to it. But the overall art is just absolutely stunning, and the book. I mean, if you haven't read it, it really, really should be read. It's really, really good. I don't want to compare it to anything specific, but if you're an animal fan and you don't mind being put in the minds of animals as the story's being told, I definitely highly suggest this. And like I said, since it is kind of loosely based on the concept of a true story of something that really happened, that might even appeal to you a little more. So anyway, that's the fifth book. That's the graphic novel. I'm going to do this some more. If you have any thoughts or any requests, you can throw them in. I can't guarantee I'll get to them. If you have any comments about these books or any books related to them that you think I might like based on these, I want to hear them. If you want to do a Five Alive video offshoot of this, link to me, and I'll check it out. I'll link it. I'll do something. We'll figure it out. And I'd really love it because I'm realizing book recommendations are really, really fun, and they're really, really popular. I get to talk about books that I've read that I haven't reviewed on the channel, and I get to see when I watch other people, I get to see their book recommendations. This is a lot of fun, and I highly recommend that everybody kind of do at least one book recommendation video. Just pick 5 books off your shelf that you enjoy. Make it a thing. Let's make this a thing. Even if you just do one video and you just pull 5 books off that you read before you had a channel, and you want to talk about them, that'd be very cool because I want to hear it. Other people want to hear it. This is I'm having a lot of fun doing this, and I want to keep doing it, and I'm going to do more. So definitely put your stuff in the comments below, and let's keep this going. So anyway, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'd love to have you as part of the pack permanently, have you here all the time to see everything that goes on. And remember, the secret is in, read books, pet dogs, and listen to metal. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Have a good one.